Hey everyone, Kitty and Sergeant Steel here, and today I am back with another unit review, and today we are talking about the absolute classic that is the Leman Russ battle tank that has the battle cannon. So if you missed my previous video, in 10th edition here, we have all the Leman Russes separated out into their own unique data sheets, allowing you to take more of them in legal lists if you want to. If you're playing narrative and don't mind bending the rules a little bit, obviously, take whatever you want. But here we have the Leman Russ battle cannon, which is the tried and true and the classic Leman Russ. So let's dive straight into it. First, we always talk about the stat line. We have movement 10, toughness 11, 2-up save, 13 wounds, leadership 7, and OC 3. It's a rather resilient unit. It moves pretty decently. It's still going to be wounded on 3s by las cannons and other types of heavy weaponry, but it is going to be able to withstand a punch from autocannons if they're not firing in too much of a volley and so forth. So overall, the Leman Russ and all these share the same profile are rather resilient vehicles. I would recommend taking a Tech Priest to keep key ones alive during your game by giving them a 4-up invuln save and being able to heal D3 wounds onto them each turn. But do as you wish, of course, as you write your lists and determine your own strategy and tactics while playing your games. Wargear, this obviously has the battle cannon, which is this glorious shorter version here. The Vanquisher is the longer one, and the shorter one here is the regular battle cannon. It also has either a heavy bolter or a las cannon on the front hull, and you can take flamers, melta-guns, plasma guns, or bolters on your sponsons as well, and of course either a heavy stubber or a storm bolter. I prefer the heavy stubber because it looks cool. So that's all your war gear besides from its armored tracks for its melee, but it's generally not all that impressive, honestly. Just so you know, its armored tracks is 6 attacks, 4-up weapon skill, strength 7, no AP, 1 damage. So you might get a wound or 2 off here or there while using this unit. You're going to do much more damage with tank shock, right? Alright, so let's talk about the profile of the battle cannon real quick before we get into the unit abilities. So the battle cannon is blast, 48-inch range, D6 plus 3 shots. So that means minimum 4, up to 9, plus your bonuses for blast. That's very important here with the strategy that I would recommend with the battle cannon Leman Russ, the battle tank. So it is 4-up ballistic skill, strength 10. Okay, that's not bad. It's nothing to scoff at, right? You'd definitely be able to get some wounds off. It is AP minus 1. All right, but flat 3 damage. Okay. So just looking at that profile, what would you think right off the bat? And what I would be saying is this is definitely great at killing infantry and elites, and it is. Now the AP minus 1 is like, well, okay, but you're putting Space Marines on a 4-up unless they're in cover, then it's still a 3-up. But you are killing Terminators, and they're going to be on a 3-up save against this if they're not in cover and so forth. So it does okay at it, but especially medium armored infantry and elites, this is going to do fairly well at, and especially if it's larger units, so you can take advantage of blast, but you don't always have to. But let's talk about what makes this unit unique, because this is what's cool in 10th edition, is every single version of the Leman Russ has their own special ability to make them unique and how you want to use them in your games. This has Armored Spearhead. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, reroll a hit roll of 1, and if that unit is within range of an objective marker you do not control, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So that's not just the battle cannon, that's all weapons. The stubber, the storm bolter, the sponsons, the hull mounted, and the battle cannon. I forgot to mention the Hunter Killer Missile, which I never model mine with because I think they look silly with them, but that's another issue. So here you get to reroll hit rolls of 1 for enemy units on objectives that you do not control. So this unit is set up to clear objectives to prep for you to take them. So that's very important. You can't control them yet. You have to want to control them. I think that's pretty cool. Now, rerolling your hit roll can be very important. That also means this does not need the support of a Scout Sentinel. So your Scout Sentinel can target other units instead. And using their Daring Recon ability. This thing naturally gets reroll ones on all of its weapons. And then it could get reroll all hit rolls with all of its weapons. So this unit doesn't need a whole lot of synergy. But what would I recommend synergizing it with to maximizing your strategy of clearing your opponent off the objectives, or at least weakening them so that your infantry can make a charge, take the objective, and not die in any returning melee and score you points or deny your opponent points. That's what I recommend doing with this, pairing it up that way where another unit charges in after this has shot and whittled down the enemy unit, or simply take your opponent off the objective so they can't score it. Either way is fine, but I would actually recommend, this is why I did these videos in this order, the autocannon variant, right? The Exterminator. I always get this mixed up with the Executioner, but the Executioner is the plasma version, and this is the Exterminator, the autocannon Exterminator Leman Russ, because this one's ability gives you AP -1 on a target that's already been shot by this. So you shoot a target with this. Now this is also strength 9 -1 flat 3 damage. Has a similar profile, except this is rapid fire and gets a lot of shots versus this is blast, right? So a little bit different profile, works a little differently there. But you're shooting it with this first, and then your battle cannon is now AP -2. Now, another option you have to increase the AP of your weapons is Ursula Creed, for example, with Fields of Fire that you could use potentially for free if you're using Creed, or if you're not using Creed, then obviously you won't be able to use that stratagem for free. And what Fields of Fire does is if another regiment or squadron unit had already shot that unit, then everything else to your army gets an additional AP -1 against that target unit. So an infantry unit, for example, or even your Exterminator could fire, get you an AP -1 for its ability, and then Creed or another commander could help issue orders, help everything else to hit well, or like Creed comes in, just makes it 0 CP because it's a battle tactic stratagem, right? So that's why I'm talking about Creed here with Fields of Fire. And so you could do it for 0 CP, or you could pay the CP in order to use it to its full effect with another unit, which could be this one. And therefore, this one gets either an additional AP -1 or even up to AP -2, because these are two separate abilities. Now, with that, say I would recommend even just AP -2. And here's why. Most things that are elites are going to have an invuln save. So you only need to have as much AP as it's going to trigger your opponent to get to their invuln saves at that point. Now, some units do not, like infantry, so maybe it's helpful to guarantee that flat 3 damage goes through and just devastates your opponent's infantry models on the objectives. This can also be beneficial to keep in mind. Say if you don't want to clear objectives, or maybe you do need to, but it's a different target. It's not infantry or elites, and you need to take out vehicles or monsters. Well, having these AP buffs near your battle cannon tank can be a really great guarantee of getting those wounds through and onto your target. Flat 3 damage is no joke. With a minimum 4 shots, re-rolling hits, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a few of these through each time. And if you roll really well, you could even blow up a vehicle with just the shooting from your battle cannon Leman Russ, your battle tank Leman Russ. So keep that in mind. With that, depending on how you're going to run this, and depending on how the rest of your list is built, will determine what sponson and hull-mounted weapons you take also. I typically take this as an anti-infantry, anti-elite unit, because I have other units that are typically anti-armor, like the Oppressor Cannon on the Rogel Dorn, or las cannons on heavy weapons teams or other vehicles and so forth, those are usually going to be my anti-vehicle, anti-monster units. So I can then take this unit to clear off objectives and help me control the board, or force my opponent to dedicate units to an objective that they had previously held, pulling their resources away from somewhere else on the table. That's what this is about: denying scoring and forcing your opponent to dedicate resources to somewhere they thought they already had secured. And you can easily do that with just a small amount of synergy into this one unit. The other thing to keep in mind when running this unit, just like pretty much any Leman Russ, you want to keep it out of combat. So do screen it, keep it out of range. It's got 48-inch range and shooting. There's no reason for this to get danger close into melee with your opponent's units. So keep that in mind, keep it well screened, and keep it lightly buffed even with either Fields of Fire or the Exterminator here. Either one of those will help guarantee that this unit is much more effective. That's really it. With its OC3, it's not really great at holding objectives, but it obviously can do it and can beat out an opponent. They have very few units left, but you just want to be careful doing that because it has the potential of getting you into melee, and then if you're trying to contest an objective, and then that's going to diminish your shooting because you're going to have a -1 penalty to firing out. And with the limited number of shots from heavy bolters and heavy flamers and heavy stubber, depending on how many wounds and models your opponent has in that unit, it may actually challenge you to clear them out and be able to get back into your good shooting with your units. All right, so that's all I have for today. That's another Leman Russ down. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you've been enjoying the whole series and the other content I've been putting out here on YouTube. Don't forget to check out my stuff here on Instagram as well. There's a link down below. If you want to support me, I don't have any subscriptions or anything, no Patreons or nothing. I do this all for free. I love this hobby. I love this army, so I put it all out there. But if you do want to support me, you can go down to the links below, and I do have affiliate links for clear movement trays or hobby paintbrushes and wet palettes and painting handles and so forth that you can get from either Redgrass Games or Squad Marks that I do highly recommend. So please check those out as well to support the channel. But if you have liked this, please like and subscribe and follow the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I'd love to hear from each of you. So if there's something I missed, if there's something you want to add about the strategy and tactics of this unit, please feel free to put it down in the comments below. We should encourage dialogue here, and we should definitely help each other be the best commander of the Astra Militarum that we can be, so that this way we can fight for the Emperor and make sure that the Imperium is fulfilled to his vision. So, as always, have fun wargaming, and remember, Cadius stands.